Hello and welcome to the second video in a series, Biodynamics for Everyone, with the Biodynamic Association of New Zealand and me, Katrina Wolff from Blue Borage. Today we are talking about, could you make all of your own compost? One of the important principles of biodynamic gardening is working towards creating a closed loop system. So in a closed loop system, you can create all the fertility within the garden. So nothing needs to be brought in unless it's as a medicine. And often the biodynamic remedies will be that little bit of medicine you need to create just kind of like the icing on the cake magic. So how this looks in a practical sense will be lots of herbs, flowers, and plants that I call compost activators. So some of these, just 6 examples here: the dandelion, borage, plantain. Down the bottom is a planter here with some marigolds, a lemon balm, alyssum. The list goes on and on and on and on and on. Any one of these plants, I challenge you to go onto Google Scholar and find someone who's done some research on the beneficial properties of these plants. Really eye-opening, the applications in food production. So little challenge there to our commercial growers to start including more flowers and herbs, even if it's just around the periphery of market gardens. Some people even plant a compost garden. This is a term that I saw in the garden design conference in America a couple of weeks ago. And I thought, that's kind of cool that there are garden designers out there encouraging people to have a section of the garden dedicated to plants to improve compost. The way I garden, I mix them all in together. So here is Blue Borage Soil Farm, just a handful of pictures. You can see it's not a large area. I think I'm maybe 1/5 of an acre within a 3-acre lifestyle block. My landlords asked me to leave a sort of emergency vehicle access. So there is a strip of grass, but otherwise it's all densely planted. I'm making CPP. I had space for all the biodynamic preparations to be made. So yeah, this is what it looks like for me, right down to some indoor worm farming and container gardening. This is a worm farm at the top left there that is inside a raised bed planter that it becomes like a self-fertilizing plant, a little closed loop system on a tiny scale. Another example is one of my clients, Ceres Organics in Auckland City. This is what I think of as a fairly typical workplace in terms of 80 staff on site. There's a lunchroom. There's a patio outside the lunchroom. And a couple of years ago, they put these 5 raised bed planters in. And now we get to have fun keeping them full with color and flavor. And there are 2 in-ground worm farms in those first 2 long beds, another in-ground worm farm in that end bed. They've got the 3-tiered pacha pot, the clay composters, and then an aero bin down the back corner. So hypothetically, there's enough space here to take all the food scraps coming out of the lunchroom and even some of the garden waste from hedge trimmings and grass clippings at the front of the property. This is a typical workshop from late February 2025. We did seed sowing, we made potting mix, we were planning what to grow in autumn now that summer's coming to an end. We're working on signage, all sorts. So much fun. More examples. I would love to be able to show you a spray-free, biodynamically managed public park with maintenance crew who are trained to make high-quality compost and keep all the weeds on site. And I don't yet know of a park that meets the standard, and this is room for improvement in society, not just New Zealand, but all over the world. Our public spaces could be managed with biodynamics. Another example I would love to be able to show you is a spray-free university with property maintenance team making biodynamic compost on campus with a group of researchers comparing the results of biodynamics with other regenerative growing methods. Just imagine that. And I don't know of anyone doing that yet, but somebody watching this may know that this is already happening somewhere, or this may plant the idea, and who knows, we might have a new PhD student kicking this off in 2026. So circular gardening, closed loop systems, could this work in your garden, your neighborhood, or your workplace? One barrier that I've encountered is people need composting to look good before they have it on show or before they have it in a workplace. So 3 examples here that I think are really good looking. First one is what I call a woven enclosure. This is a simple roll of chicken wire. I think that comes 5 meters long. And I weave in the ends of New Zealand flax, the harakeke plant, from my raranga studies. I'm studying Māori weaving, so there's a section of each leaf that is too stiff to be used in basket weaving. It's called the take. And so yeah, I've started using the take to create compost enclosures. So if you would like one of those, feel free to reach out to me or find a weaver in your community and show them this picture, see if they can help you make something like it. The image in the middle is a worm farm made by Sub Pod. I don't think these are available in New Zealand at the moment, but it's February 2025. I think within a couple of months they will be back in distribution. The company changed ownership. Image on the right-hand side is carbon cycle compost boxes. Really popular in schools, urban farms, community gardens. I think of them as the Rolls Royce of composting. For large boxes, I think each box is around $2,500. The smaller boxes are under 2,000, maybe sort of 1,500 or thereabouts. So this set of 3, I think, is about $5,000 worth of composting equipment. But it is rodent proof, it looks good, it's simple to use, and these wooden slats slide in and out really easily, making it really suitable for school gardening with children who aren't strong, if that makes sense. What I didn't say in the middle with the Sub Pod is this box has holes on the inside, so you can add your food scraps. When the lid comes down, there's little snaps to lock it in place. Totally rodent proof, and the worms can crawl out, feed the plants in the surrounding garden. So what you have there is a self-fertilizing closed loop ecosystem on a small scale. So I wanted to include some of my top tips for exquisite compost making. So number 1, use good quality inputs, grow them intentionally, harvest them with the thought of improving your soil, and observe what how your soil turns out, and research what additional plants you want to be growing to refine things even further. If you are making hot compost, I recommend mixing your ingredients rather than layering them. So often I see people making hot compost and adding a layer of greens, a layer of browns, a layer of greens, and sometimes something like grass clippings can go on in a very thick layer that then sort of condenses and doesn't blend with everything else, which in the long run can mean you have to do an extra turn to get finished soil. Tip number 3, ensure there's adequate moisture. This is one of the issues I find with particularly hot composting, particularly in summer. Moisture doesn't have to be rainwater. It can be weed tea, seaweed tea, cow manure slurry, clay slurry. all sorts. For worm farms, I really like giving mine tasty treats regularly to ensure they keep multiplying. So a lot of the way that I teach composting is shifting people away from the thinking about waste management and getting rid of rubbish to, if we're making soil, how do we make the best possible soil we can? Tip number 5 is to go visit your favorite gardeners and see how they make compost. And most gardeners will be really flattered that you want to see the sort of behind the scenes of their operation. If it's someone who's doing garden coaching like myself, they may charge for visits, they may offer coaching sessions in their garden. Please support the people in the community who are such a valuable resource, showing people how to grow food, how to make soil. Yeah, we need to look after our earth stewards so that they can share their skills from a space of abundance. 6th tip here is the biodynamic preparations. They are like magic. Please give them a try if you haven't yet. They come in these little plastic bags. You can buy them from the Biodynamic Association of New Zealand, and they can be added into hot compost piles. They can be added into compost bins. If I was putting them into a compost bin, I would make sure it was full to the top and I was ready to sort of put it in resting mode and had somewhere else to add food scraps. And then you poke 5 holes, you make 5 little balls of soil. I often use cow manure or horse manure or worm castings. You put a pinch of the compost preparation into each ball, and then the 5 holes, they get 1 ball each. The 6th compost preparation, called 507, this is valerian. You stir it in a bucket of water and sprinkle that over the top. So if you aren't getting amazing results, please remember it's okay to ask for help. Every profession, you think of sports people, musicians, gosh, doctors and architects, like every industry has specific training, and gardening and composting is the same. And I worry that a lot of people are seeking help from garden centers or blogs written by chemical companies that they're selling you products that help them make more money. And my preference is that you come to the Biodynamic Association of New Zealand and find biodynamic garden coaches like myself. There are lots of us throughout the country. And yeah, we each have our own special areas of interest. So a little bit about me. My business is Blue Borage. I was a member of the Biodynamic Association Council for 3 years, from 2020 to 2023. I'm a mother, a grandmother, a musician, a linguist. I study huapara kore and raranga. Raranga is Māori weaving using the harakeke flax plant. I am someone who uses a wide range of modalities, love human design, dabbling a little bit in astrology and how that blends with human design, and nature communication is something I've been working with for the last 3 years. Really enjoying the nature communication to sort of experiment with what else we can do with the biodynamic remedies. What are the trees asking for? What do our compost piles want more of? And what is going to help the wider landscape, the ecosystem? And lots of messages coming through from the soil, Henea Huone, and also waterways. So biodynamics is not just about food, it's not just about compost, it's also about protecting the quality of water that we would love to have around us. What else about me? I'm hard of hearing, highly sensitive, probably on the autistic spectrum, and very definitely neurodivergent. So each of the people teaching biodynamics comes from their own unique life experience. Please go find someone that resonates with your interests connect. Go to biodynamic.org.nz. You'll find lots of links and resources, information on how to find people in your area or people who are working on the things that you want to learn about. So that's the end of this month's video. Please come back for the next one.